Hey friends, we have a really important announcement and we also need your help in a really big way. We've been working behind the scenes very hard with congressional staffers for the Aviation Subcommittee for the FAA reauthorization that's going on in 2023. The reason why we need your help and the timing of this is so critical is because both the Flight Test Community Association and FPV Freedom Coalition have been working hard to raise the limit of regulations around 250 grams all the way up to 1 kilogram. What that means is basically, if we can get this through to Congress, we'll be able to fly planes up to 1 kilogram without any requirements for registration or, more importantly, remote ID. This is a huge topic with a lot of benefits if we can do this right. Dave and I are going to be unpacking this for you right now. All right, Dave, thank you so much for making time today. It means a lot.
Happy to be here.
Now, friends, we've been working really hard behind the scenes, and this is probably one thing that is the most important thing right now for our industry, and we need your help in a big way. This is basically about the FAA Reauthorization Act. It's coming up in 2023. It'll be ending around July. And the one biggest thing that we are working on that we need your help with is to move the benchmark of sub 250, having no registration requirements, and moving that benchmark up to 1 kilogram. Dave, why don't you just explain just on a high level what that means for the hobby and really the reason behind it?
So what this means for the hobby is that if your UAS or your model airplane weighs between 0.55 or 55 pounds, you have to register it. So our asking to raise this to 1 kilogram or 2.2 pounds means that a lot of smaller airplanes, so in the RC world, like 40-inch airplane or smaller, a lot of 5-inch drones would not require registration, and that means they would not have to go through remote ID.
In recent meetings we've had with the FAA, it was pretty apparent, we've been trying to do FRIA first. We've been trying to basically find ways for people to comply if they choose to comply, but without having the cost, without having the burden of putting technology on their airplanes. And FRIAs seemed to be a good solution where we could help people fly the same place they were yesterday, tomorrow. But it became really evident when we were meeting with the FAA that they really only have intention of approving about 4,000 FRIAs. And while I'm telling you this, please do not stop applying for FRIAs. We need to give them a reality check of how many people actively fly in their backyards outside of controlled club fields. But this is a damaging thing, especially when you consider how that's going to have a ripple effect of people being able to enjoy the hobby, and also how it's going to have a tremendous impact negatively on what we're doing currently with kids in schools. It's not a very good thing at all. And with that coming, basically, when people get into the hobby, when they enjoy the hobby, especially with flight test planes where they're flying a 5-inch quad, those are all under 1 kilogram. And safety and science will back every single time with an amazing record that this really poses no risk to what they're trying to regulate.
So historically, so we're talking about 250 grams up to 1 kilogram.
Yeah.
Very quickly, the Blunty did a great piece of research and figured that the 250 grams came up in 1896 with French infantry. When a number gets accepted and then it's used again and again and people reference it and they don't try to question it, it gets used and made into something formal. And that's what happened with 250 grams. So we're now at a place where we can do something better. And we now have something that we recommended in a drone advisory committee tasking group 11. It's called the target level of safety, and it includes things like an impacted person on the ground, population density, impact fragmentation, as well as something that we can mathematically model to recently, which is the potential of fatal injury of the structure. So that's important. For example, if you have a foam fuselage, you're going to do less damage than if the fuselage is made of aluminum and is not going to deform or break up. So you'll hear the word frangibility a lot. So we can do better, and what we're about is we're asking you to please to go to our website, fpvfc.org. Josh's team and my team have been working together. We have 2 sets of memos. And so if you're coming to our website from FTCA, we want you to use your memo and do a copy and paste. And that's okay with we're sending notes to Congress, not with an NPRM or notice to public rulemaking, but do a copy and paste to your congressional representative, so it's federal, and your 2 senators. And if either any of your representatives are on one of the 2 congressional aviation subcommittees, all the better. But we ask you to please copy and paste. And what we're doing is we're getting in front of the 2023 FAA Reauthorization Act that is trying to be cleared from the House in July, and then it needs to be voted on before the end of 2023 to fund and to mandate and to tell the FAA what it is that Congress is telling them to do.
We don't want to overlook what Dave just said here. There's a big difference between NPRMs and that stuff we had to do for like remote ID, where we're asking people to submit their comments, and reaching out to Congress for this Reauthorization Act. And the main reason is because Congress mandates what the FAA needs to do. And as we all seen of what's happened over the last 5 years, we do not want this to take another 5 years to get this ironed out. It'll absolutely destroy the hobby, destroy our STEM programs, and all the good things that the hobby has to offer. If we can talk to Congress and we can plead this case to Congress and get them to make these changes, it circumvents the FAA putting out NPRMs and things like that. It can happen so much quicker. And it's also incredibly important because now that we have a reality check with what FRIAs are, with what remote ID is going to be, this, in my opinion, is the biggest battle we should be educating and also uniting around that will have benefits for us now and also for schools and careers in the future. So Dave, like you mentioned here, this is a united front between FPVFC and FDCA, but also we did not just keep this between ourselves. We reached out to also STEM Plus C and also the AMA on Friday to ask them to be involved with this. And as of so far, we have not received any callback from the AMA, but the door is definitely open. We do not want this just to be two CBOs uniting together. We want to unite all the CBOs, all the communities to get behind this, because it'll definitely benefit us in the long run in a way that I think that is bigger than even establishing FRIAs, which we already know has been stifled by the FAA.
Right. After a recent conversation that Josh and I had with two congressional staffers, we after the call, we had a debrief, and we're like, wow, what's the most important thing we could work on? If there was one thing that we had to focus on that we could ask Congress to take up and tell the FAA, what is it that they could do for recreational UAS? And we both agreed, 250 grams, move it up to a kilogram. That's it. That's why we're asking for your help now.
We have the science, we definitely know the needs, and we definitely need your help here. Doing this is not only going to protect our hobby, but as we mentioned before, for kids being able to experience this hobby for the first time in schools don't have the option to choose to not to comply. They have to comply. And currently the current burden, whether it's FRIAs or remote ID, is just going to eliminate and destroy that program that's been worked so hard for so many years to bring it to reality. Not to mention there's so many amazing career paths for these young students to be able to enjoy in the future. We want our communities to be able to benefit from that, but we definitely need your help. So please consider clicking that link down below, getting involved. This is not done. We're going to have more updates. Also, share this with your friends and your family and let them know how important this is and get them involved as well. Dave, we're going to be doing another video kind of sharing the history that Blunty worked so hard on about the history of 250 grams. And I think you guys are going to really quickly realize there's no founding for it. There's no basis for it, but we do have the science. We do have the information now that we can educate you with, and we can share with you that you can then share with others. And hopefully we can redefine this argument to be much more beneficial for the hobby in general. Friends, thank you so much for taking time to listen to this video, to get involved, and more updates in the future. Dave, thank you for your time, brother, and all the hard work you've done behind the scenes and in front of the scenes.
Thank you.
See you next time, guys.